Hi friends, this is Miss Canoe from Boys Prep in the Ezra Jack Keats classroom again with story time. We're going to start today with a song. So I want everyone to get their finger out and it goes like this. One little finger, one little finger, one little finger, tap, tap, tap. Put your finger up, put your finger down, put it on your eyes. Let me see those looking eyes for the story time. All right, let's sing it again. Ready? One little finger, one little finger, one little finger, tap, tap, tap. Put your finger up, put your finger down, put it on your ears. Let me see those listening ears. All right, so today's story, we're going to read a book called Rosie Revere, Engineer. And this time I don't have the book again with me, so we're going to read along virtually on my computer. But before we get started, we're going to talk about some vocabulary words. Now, vocabulary are words that maybe you don't know because they're a little bit tricky or you just haven't learned them yet. So I'm going to teach you 3 vocabulary words that we're going to focus on as we read Rosie Revere, Engineer. Now, the first word, let me underline it for you, that we're going to focus on is the word in the title of the book that you might not know, engineer. Now let's say it out together. Ready? Engineer. Now by yourself. All together, engineer. An engineer is a person who plans, builds, and fixes things. So it's what? A person who plans, builds, and fixes things. Awesome. Now the next word that we're going to be listening for while we read our story is shy. Shy is a short word. Shy is when you do not want to talk or meet new people. So maybe can you make a shy face when you don't want to talk to any new people? Maybe sometimes you feel like that at school or when you go to a new place, or maybe on the first day of school, that's how you felt. You felt a little shy because you didn't want to talk to people. And the last word that we're going to learn about is perplexed. Now everyone point to your brain. You're going to make a confused face and we're going to say perplexed. Ready? Together, perplexed. Perplexed means you're confused. Confused like this little face here. So we're going to focus on the word engineer. The word what? Engineer. Then the word, let me get my marker. And the word shy, and then the word perplexed, which means what? Confused, perplexed. All right, so we're going to get started reading, and let's make sure we look out for these words. All right, let's go. Okay, friends, here we are. We're going to start reading Rosie Revere, Engineer. And the author is Andrea Beatty, who wrote the words. The illustrator is David Roberts, who drew the pictures. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Gray's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. So here's Rosie right here. She dreamed of becoming an engineer. Remember, an engineer is someone who plans, builds, and fixes things. And she sat shyly, means she was kind of quiet. She didn't really want to talk to the new people at her school. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. What's Rosie doing here? She's taking out the trash. I wonder what she's going to use this cup it looks like she's pulling out and all these other little things that she has in her bag. I wonder what she's going to do. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. Wow, look at all these different materials that Rosie has laid out. Do you have any of these items in your house? And look at what she built. What do you think this is? And it says that she hid them under her bed. Why do you think she was hiding her creations? What do you think?
When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye, and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser, and helium pants. Look at these pants over here. They're filled with helium, just like what we fill up balloons with. Isn't that crazy? And look at this machine. Look at the hot dog, and it looks like she built something so that the mustard would squirt out by itself. So it says that when Rosie was a baby, she wasn't too shy when she was younger. I wonder why she became so shy. It seems like she really likes showing off her inventions here. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud. That means she was really happy with her creation. But Fred slapped his knee and chuckled out loud. Ha ha ha. Look at Uncle Fred. He's laughing at her. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. Remember that word perplexed? She was confused. She looked at the cheese hat, then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, I truly do. Ha ha ha. But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day she kept her dreams to herself. So how does Rosie look in this picture? Remember, she was embarrassed, perplexed, she was confused. She looks a little sad. Why is she perplexed and sad and embarrassed? Right, because Uncle Fred is laughing at her. Huh. How would you feel if someone laughed at something you made? Yeah, that might not make us feel so good. And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great Aunt Rose was a true dynamo who'd worked on building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile and as she looked to the sky, the only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky, and some hold on tight. And this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. So it sounds like she came up with an idea. What do you think she's going to do? How do you think she's going to help her aunt fly? You think she's going to build something? What do you think she's going to build it out of? Whoa, what do you see in this picture? What do you think this is? It's all wrapped up and hiding from us. She worked and she worked till day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might just turn out to be. So it looks like it's a cheese copter. What do you think a cheese copter is? Let's find out. Let's see if they show us. Whoa! Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The Helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and around, then froze for a heartbeat. Uh-oh, and crashed to the ground. Oh no. But let's look at this thing that Rosie engineered, that she built. It looks like, these kind of look like hula hoops that you might use outside. I see some skateboards. Looks like a baby head. Looks like the handle from a shovel, a broom. Looks like this is part of an umbrella. Do you have any of these things at your house? Because it looks like she just used everyday items to build her Helio cheese copter. Oh man. But what happened? It crashed to the ground. Uh-oh. Oh, then Rosie heard laughter and spurs, turned around to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, oh no, never, not again. Will I try to build something to sputter or spin or build with a lever or switch or gear, and never will I be a great engineer. Look at Rosie. How does she look here? She looks a little sad or disappointed. And why? Because her big creation that she engineered crashed and it broke. And her great aunt is laughing. Maybe this is kind of like when she was trying to help her uncle create something. Maybe this reminds her of when her uncle was laughing at her when she was younger and how she felt perplexed, remember, confused and embarrassed. And remember, I think this is kind of why Rosie stopped engineering for a while. So maybe she feels the same way here. But let's see. Well, she turned around to leave, but then great Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close, and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next. Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. She was confused, remember, perplexed. I failed, said dear Rosie. It's just made of trash, didn't you see? The cheese copter crashed. Yes, said her great aunt, it crashed, that is true. But first, it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. So how does the great aunt feel? It sounds like she's so happy because her creation was flying. And even though it crashed, she's still so happy that it worked, at least for a little bit. Ooh, look at all these drawings. What are they of? So many different types of airplanes, different shapes and different sizes. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but that was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. And what are they doing in this picture together? It looks like they're adding more pieces to the cheese copter. It looks like they're trying to improve it, to make it better. They're fixing it, which is also what an engineer does. And on the side it says, we can do it. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. Wow, so look at all the different things that were engineered in Rosie's class. Which one do you like the best? And what do you see? The end.